occupation? I found the key to greatness, what's your occupation? No, you don't wanna wake up, wake up, wake up. It's occupation. Found the key to greatness, what's your occupation? I can shake her, I can shake you, but you do not wanna wake up, wake up, wake up. It's official, in the sky, alive, alive. It's official, it's official. Alive, living alive, alive. There goes strain, alive, sky, alive, alive. Do you mind? It's time to wake up, wake up, wake up. Open up the mind for the minute and the time. Time goes by on the timelines, moving down the scrolls for the homies. You ain't even know, but you smooth with the homies. Smooth with the, you got two of them. Got another one on the way, that's a few of them. Everything gravy is great, but you gotta get a couple 100,000 on the play for the raid. Do not want to shake you, but not do you. Do not listen. You do not listen. It's time to wake up, wake up. Oh, strange. Time to wake up. Make money, make it real. As the rain falls on the building, in the building, gotta speak the truth though. Everything's smooth though, strange, nothing sky, and nothing wrong. Smooth though. Round two for the finish line. I don't wanna have to cross it, this the finish line. Cross the hell the tables on the pockets.
Thank you for coming. So we can hopefully move forward a little bit with the Industrial Hemp Project this year. I think the last time that we met primarily with Virginia State and Virginia Tech to kind of get some thoughts from them on what type of research or how they saw the program moving forward, and gave them our ideas of doing requests for proposals to get ideas for industrial hemp projects. And the universities indicated they'd like to hear some from the proponents in the industry on what types of research they'd like to see done this year, or I guess I should say next year. So that's really why we're here, just to kind of hear from everybody with ideas, how we can move forward, what type of hemp or what type of hemp seeds or what type of research that we want to do in Virginia, and just give everybody an opportunity to give us some ideas and give the university some ideas, and then we'll figure out what our next steps will be like after that. So with that, I think I'll turn it over to Kevin. Are you going to run the agenda for us?
Sure. Maybe a quick round of introductions.
Oh, good idea. Yeah. Great idea. I should have said up front. I'm Sandy Adams. I'm the commissioner here at VDACS. So, you want to say hello first?
I'm just happy to be here, and having worked on this great bill that the governor has made law. It's once you get legislation passed, then it's actual implementation. So I am in all of you around the table to make sure that we do expedite this in a very professional way that the people of Virginia will be proud of, and a lot of people are waiting and hoping that this is not just a start, but that it's going to be one that moves us through the research process and takes us to the actual seedlings getting in the ground, a product that the agricultural, those in agribusiness and the farmers and they will have an opportunity to have a new product that's going to bring increased economic strength to Virginia, the diversity of Virginia that we're trying to work with, and their jobs for people. And you all the people around the table that's going to make this happen. So I am just the lawmaker, the voice of the people that have got us to this point, and now I'm here to respectfully listen to the process that you're going to take now to take us to the desired outcome.
Thank you. And I think we're waiting for Delegate Yost to get here, so hopefully he'll be able to make it today. Charles, you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Charles.
Just go around the table.
Charles Green, Deputy Commissioner with the Virginia Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services.
My name is Tony Banks. I work for Virginia Farm Bureau in the Commodity Marketing Department.
I'm Lonnie Johnson, Senior District Director with Virginia Cooperative Extension.
I'm Ed Jones, Associate Dean in the College of Ag and Life Sciences and Director of Virginia Cooperative Extension.
Wendy Mercer, Virginia State University, Associate Dean and Director of Research.
Jewel Hairston, Dean of the College of Agriculture at Virginia State University.
I'm Lindsay Reeves. I work in government relations with Virginia Farm Bureau.
Good afternoon. Andy Albers. I'm Director of the Division of Consumer Protection here at VDACS.
I'm Brad Copenhaver, representing the Virginia Agribusiness Council.
Ben Dell, Director of Research Development and Promotion at James Madison University.
Jason Amatucci, founder of the Virginia Industrial Hemp Coalition.
Jim Flores, I represent both VoteHemp.com and Virginia Industrial Hemp Coalition, and I'm from Montgomery County.
Erin Williams, on policy analyst here with the agency.
Kevin Schmidt, I'm the Director of the Office of Policy Planning and Research here at VDACS.
I'm Eric Steenstrom, the President of Vote Hemp, and I'm also a Loudoun County resident in West Virginia.
I'm Sabian Hayes, the owner of the Virginia Hemp Company. I'm a resident of Woodbury,
Clarence Don, I'm a member of the Virginia Hemp Company.
Cormac Benter, representing the Virginia Hemp Company.
Again, welcome everybody. Kevin, I guess we have people on the phone. You want to say hello?
This is Saeed Masagimi. I'm Associate Dean and Director of Virginia Ag Experiment Station.
Is that it?
I thought I heard you.
Anyone else on the phone? Okay, all right. Kevin, I guess we'll start with the agenda. Next agenda item then.
Great. I just wanted to do a few minutes kind of following up on Commissioner Adams.
What our understanding was from working with them and how we see it.
One quick, Ben Duff from JMU. So essentially, if the RFP is released in a couple of months, is there a deadline that you can put forth a proposal to say, yes, I would like to be involved with this research? Does that have to happen? Whenever that deadline might be, or could it be something 6 months from now we identify something that we would like to do, and then we apply essentially the research program?
That's a great question. We had not gotten that far. I think the initial idea was just to see whether a university was or wasn't interested. But it's a good point about kind of rolling application. Maybe what we would do would be kind of the initial. We've got to kind of get working back to 2016. You've got to apply by a certain date, but then once you get that initial process rolling, it could be a rolling application. Where universities could apply. We haven't really talked about that. I guess that's a good question for our procurement folks who could help us figure out some flaws in that process. I'm going to jot that down.
Preemptive, to be preemptive in the event that Congress takes further action and moves beyond the research component and allows private growers to start producing the crop, there might be some sort of regulatory structure that they ask the states to have in place. And so I don't think it was our reading that allowing the universities to conduct trials would require any regulations, but that the bills allow flexibility that if and when Congress takes action, that the agency, that we don't have to go back and monkey with the bills again, that we've already got the ability to promulgate regulations at that time when we need it.
And I know part of the concern was that if we did have to go through the regulatory process, and you know this, I mean, we're talking a 2-year window, and that's if things move well. And particularly something like this, I think would probably, it could be that long, not longer. And so I know there's interest to make sure that the regulatory piece doesn't hold up actual projects happening in 2016.
And I don't think when we reviewed it, we saw any reason, anything additional that we would put in the regulations that are not already in the legislation. In the law. At this point, we didn't see anything.
Well, okay, we can come back as discussions occur and questions come up about the process, but sure, no,
The two options
yes.
for other private growers or just the university, is that an either or? Or is it?
I don't think we were looking at it as an either or.
No.
I think we were looking at it as two options for the universities to obtain seed under. Commissioner may have an opinion, but the universities may have, or the point person at the university may have a much more specific idea as to, if they want to do research on fiber, they may have insight as to exactly which varieties of hemp seed and where they want to source that. So they may say, this is commercially available in Italy or in Canada, and that's the variety that we think, from reading literature might work well in this experiment. And so that would allow the university to obtain, to try to obtain those varieties, where if we obtain seed, which as an agency, I think we're shooting in the dark a little bit, sort of guessing much more so than a researcher who is more well-versed maybe on scientific literature.
But what I'm reading from this is if there's a farmer who wants to partner with Virginia State to grow on their property, they can. Correct.
Yeah, they could if they were
Potentially
licensed. If they were licensed and they figured out a way with the university to acquire the seed that didn't involve VDACS.
I think our other thought process was that we didn't know some of the universities already had a protective DEA to get controlled substances, what is referred to by DEA for research.
I guess my question is the choice driven by the university or is it driven by the producer? Can we as a university say we would prefer to go with option 2, whereas maybe Virginia Tech might prefer option 1? Are we that open?
I think it's up to the university. The way if I'm remembering it correctly, the way the law is written, it's for research purposes. So
do they have to pick one or the other, or could a university actually have both programs going on at the same time?
I think they could do both. I mean, I think the process for each would be different, and it might be a lot of, could be some extra work to do both, but they certainly could structure it that way.
Yeah. Also, on the second option, can the universities inform VDACS to get a seed from a particular vendor?
There's other people outside of Virginia, like I said, we haven't gone this point here and so on. I wouldn't know nothing about them unless I went to California. Both Southern and Northern California, seeing how they do industrial hemp growing, how they do outdoor industrial hemp growing. So I think first we need to start looking and bringing some experts from the outside. On top of that, I think once we start the research, the same thing I told West Virginia University, we need to get it decorticated. I have fibers here, decorticated fibers. If we grow all of this hemp, we don't have a way to process it properly. It's going to be kind of pointless. So I don't know how the state should somehow invest into a decorticator, or the university's going to have to invest in a decorticator. It's going to be privately funded through corporate interests. How we're going to figure that out. But aside from seed, like the decorticators, I found some ranging from like $17,000 to $200-something thousand, depending on where we get it from. I'm not sure if you have any information on any decorticators.
Well, I can tell you that fiber there came from China, and that's very heavily processed, and it takes more than decortication to get it to that. That's cottonized up fiber there. And so I would honestly say that I think the question of, we can talk about the question of markets, but I think the biggest question from a research standpoint, I like Brad's point that farmers want to know how to grow it, but we also need to come up with seed varieties that here, because the